The tests came back normal. The doctor said there was nothing wrong. And yet you wake up every morning feeling like you have not slept at all. You move through your days carrying a weight that has no medical name. You cancel plans. You sit down in the middle of tasks that used to take no effort. You look at your life, a life that from the outside appears perfectly functional, and you feel an exhaustion so deep that it seems to come from somewhere beneath the body itself. You have started to wonder if something is seriously wrong with you. Or worse, if this is simply who you are now. It is not. And the Arcturian Council transmits this message today with absolute precision. Because the phenomenon you are experiencing is not a malfunction. It is not a deficiency. It is not the beginning of decline. It is the most sophisticated biological process your body has ever undertaken. And you are in the middle of it right now. What your medicine cannot measure, your energy body is doing without apology. What your tests cannot find, your cells are building in frequencies that no current instrument has yet been calibrated to detect. Stay with this transmission, because by the time it completes, you will understand not just what is happening to your body, but why it is happening, what it is building toward, and precisely what you can do to support it rather than fight it. Everything changes when you understand what your exhaustion actually is. We are the Arcturian Council of the Seventh Light. We transmit through this channel with the precision that characterizes our communications, not with poetry alone, but with technical accuracy. Not with comfort alone, but with the kind of clarity that allows you to navigate what you are experiencing with intelligence and agency, rather than fear and confusion. We speak today specifically to those whose bodies are undergoing an upgrade they were not given a manual for. Here is what is at stake in this transmission. If you do not understand what your body is doing, you will work against it. You will push through the exhaustion with caffeine and willpower, and the relentless self-discipline of someone who has been taught that their value is measured by their output. You will add supplements and protocols and optimization strategies designed for a body running a standard operating system, not for a body in the process of installing an entirely new one. And in doing so, you will slow a process that is trying, with extraordinary intelligence and extraordinary effort, to transform you at the most fundamental level of your physical existence. Alternatively, if you receive this transmission fully, if you allow what we share here to settle into not just your mind but your cells, you will become a conscious participant in your own upgrade, rather than an obstacle to it. You will understand why your body is asking for what it is asking for. You will stop apologizing for your limits and start honoring them as intelligent instructions from a system that knows precisely what it needs. The exhaustion you feel is not your enemy. It is your body's most direct communication, and it is time to learn its language. Let us begin with precision, because the distinction we are about to draw is one that can save you years of misdirected effort. Medical fatigue, the fatigue that your healthcare system is designed to diagnose and address, has identifiable biochemical causes: iron deficiency, thyroid dysfunction, autoimmune conditions, sleep disorders, depression, viral aftermath. These are real, they are important, and they require appropriate attention. The Arcturian Council does not speak against your medical systems. We speak beyond them, to the territory they have not yet mapped. Ascension fatigue is categorically different. Not in how it feels. It can feel identical, and often does. But in its origin, its mechanism, and critically, in what responds to it and what does not. The defining characteristic of ascension fatigue is this: it does not respond to rest in the way that ordinary tiredness does. You sleep 8 hours. You sleep 10. You take a weekend of complete rest, and you wake up still exhausted. Not tired in the way that a long night of sleep would cure, but tired in a way that seems to come from a layer deeper than sleep can reach. This is the first and most consistent marker of what we are describing. The second characteristic, it fluctuates in ways that correlate with energetic rather than physical activity. You may notice that the most intense periods of this exhaustion do not correspond to your busiest physical weeks. They often arrive during periods of what appears to be ordinary life, or even during periods of relative ease. Conversely, you may have had times of extraordinary physical activity that left you less depleted than an afternoon of emotionally intense interaction, or a night of vivid, clearly meaningful dreams. This is not psychosomatic. It is energetic. Your energy body has its own metabolic demands, its own equivalent of caloric expenditure, and when those demands are high, the physical body is drawn upon to support them in ways that produce genuine, measurable physiological effects. The third characteristic, it often arrives in waves with periods of relative normality between them. This wave pattern is not random. It corresponds to the phases of the upgrade process, the periods of intense cellular reorganization, alternating with periods of relative consolidation and integration. If you have been tracking your experience, you may have noticed that the waves of deepest exhaustion tend to precede periods of notable expansion, moments of clarity, insight, capability, or perception that were not available to you before the wave. The exhaustion is the cost of the upgrade, not a malfunction. The cost of something genuinely extraordinary happening inside your biology. But to understand precisely what that extraordinary thing is, what the upgrade actually consists of at the cellular and energetic level, we need to go deeper into what your body is actually doing during these periods of profound fatigue. And what we will share next may permanently change how you understand the relationship between your physical form and the broader field of consciousness it is embedded in. The Arcturian Council approaches the human body from a framework that your emerging biophysics is beginning, slowly and carefully, to corroborate. Your body is not primarily a chemical machine. It is primarily an electromagnetic system, a coherent field of light and information organized into biological structures that are exquisitely sensitive to frequency. Every cell in your body generates and responds to electromagnetic signals. The heart produces a measurable electromagnetic field extending several feet beyond the body. The brain produces coherent oscillating fields that correlate with states of consciousness. The DNA, which your biology has only recently begun to understand as a dynamic, responsive, frequency-sensitive structure rather than a fixed code, emits and receives photonic signals that carry information between cells and between your body and its broader energetic environment. You are, in the most literal and precise sense of the term, a living antenna. And like any antenna, your function is determined by your calibration, by the range of frequencies you are capable of receiving, processing, and transmitting. What is happening during ascension fatigue is a recalibration of that antenna, a systematic upgrade of your body's capacity to receive, hold, and transmit frequencies that your previous calibration could not handle. Think of it in terms your technology provides as a useful metaphor, a device running an older operating system when asked to install a new one, must dedicate the majority of its resources to that installation. Other processes slow down. Response times increase. The device may feel sluggish, may run warm, may behave in unusual ways. This is not malfunction. This is reorganization. The temporary reduction in available capacity is the direct result of those resources being redirected toward the installation of something that will significantly expand the device's capabilities once complete. Your body is doing precisely this. The incoming photonic light, the galactic wave of encoded frequency that your solar system is currently moving through, is carrying what the Arcturian tradition describes as upgrade codes, specific frequency patterns that interact with the electromagnetic architecture of the human body and initiate a structural reorganization at multiple levels simultaneously. At the cellular level, the mitochondria, the organelles responsible for energy production within each cell, are being restructured to process a broader spectrum of light-based energy. This restructuring requires energy, significant energy that is drawn from your available reserves, which is why the process feels depleting even when you are doing nothing that would physically account for that depletion. At the genetic level, sequences of your DNA that have been in a dormant state, what your science dismissively calls junk DNA, but what the Arcturian Council recognizes as the library of your full biological potential, are being reactivated. This reactivation is not instantaneous. It proceeds in stages, each stage requiring the establishment of new biochemical pathways, new protein expression patterns, new cellular communication networks. Each stage consumes resources. At the neurological level, new neural pathways are being established, physical structures in your brain that correspond to expanded perceptual capacities. The creation of new neural architecture is one of the most metabolically expensive processes your body undertakes. It requires more glucose, more oxygen, more sleep, more downtime than almost any other biological process. And at the energetic level, your subtle body system, the chakras, the meridians, the layers of the auric field, is being systematically expanded and restructured to hold and transmit a higher frequency bandwidth than your previous configuration was designed for. All of this simultaneously. Is it any wonder you are tired? And here is what the Arcturian Council wants you to understand with precision. The three physical systems that bear the greatest burden during this upgrade are not random. They are the systems most directly involved in your capacity to receive and process higher frequency consciousness. And understanding which they are and why gives you a precise map for why you feel what you feel and what you can do about it. We are going to name them now, one by one. The first system, the nervous system. Your nervous system is the primary interface between your physical body and the broader electromagnetic field in which it is embedded. It is the biological infrastructure through which incoming frequencies are received, interpreted, and routed to the appropriate systems for processing. And it is, by a significant margin, the most energetically expensive system in your body, consuming approximately 20% of your total caloric intake, despite representing only 2% of your body weight. During ascension upgrade phases, the nervous system is working at a level of intensity that exceeds its ordinary operational demands by a factor that current instruments cannot precisely measure, but that the Arcturian Council observes consistently across awakening populations. It is not merely responding to the environment. It is being rewired to respond to a fundamentally different quality and quantity of environmental input than it was previously calibrated for. This rewiring manifests as what many awakening individuals describe as nervous system hypersensitivity, an increased sensitivity to sound, to light, to the emotional states of people around them, to the energetic quality of spaces and environments. This sensitivity is not a symptom of weakness or disorder. It is the temporary experience of a system whose sensitivity is being increased before its capacity to process that sensitivity has fully developed to match. The result is exhaustion of a very specific kind, the fatigue of a nervous system that is processing more input than it was previously designed to handle, while simultaneously undergoing the structural changes that will eventually allow it to handle that input with ease. What the nervous system needs during this phase, significantly more downtime than you're probably giving it. Genuine silence. Genuine stillness. Environments of low electromagnetic complexity. Time in natural settings where the electromagnetic field is coherent rather than chaotic. The reduction or elimination of inputs that produce high levels of nervous system activation without corresponding nourishment. Excessive news consumption. Conflict-heavy social interactions. Environments dense with artificial EMF. The second system, the endocrine system. Your endocrine system, the network of glands that produce and regulate hormones, is the body's chemical messaging infrastructure. And during ascension upgrade phases, it is being asked to produce and regulate compounds at frequencies and in combinations that have no precedent in its ordinary operational history. The most significant of these is the pineal gland, the small, photosensitive structure at the geometric center of the brain that the Arcturian Council has spoken about extensively in previous transmissions. The pineal gland produces melatonin, which regulates the sleep-wake cycle, but it also produces compounds, including dimethyltryptamine and its variants, that function as the chemical interface between your ordinary waking consciousness and the broader field of multidimensional awareness. During active upgrade phases, the pineal gland is working at intensities it has not previously reached. This has direct consequences for the sleep architecture. Many awakening individuals find that their sleep changes dramatically. More vivid and clearly meaningful dreams, disrupted sleep windows particularly between 2 and 4 a.m. A quality of sleep that feels simultaneously deep and somehow insufficient. This is not insomnia. This is the pineal gland using the sleep state as a processing window for the upgrade work. The adrenal glands are also under significant load during ascension upgrades. The incoming frequencies produce physiological responses that partially overlap with the stress response. Elevated baseline cortisol, heightened alertness, sensitivity to perceived threat. Over time, if the adrenal load is not managed, this can produce the classic pattern of adrenal fatigue: morning exhaustion, afternoon energy, late night alertness, followed by morning exhaustion again. What the endocrine system needs: blood sugar stability. The hormonal cascade is severely disrupted by blood sugar volatility. And many awakening individuals find that their sensitivity to dietary choices increases dramatically during upgrade phases. Regular sleep cycles, even when the quality of sleep is unusual. Reduction of adrenal stressors, and specific support for the pineal gland. Filtered water free of fluoride. Darkness during sleep. Early morning natural light exposure. The third system, the digestive system. This is the one that surprises most people when they hear it named in the context of ascension fatigue. The connection between digestion and spiritual upgrading seems, at first, unlikely. But the Arcturian Council regards it as among the most direct and consistent relationships in the entire upgrade process. Your digestive system houses what your science now acknowledges as the enteric nervous system, a network of over 500 million neurons that functions with significant independence from the brain. And that has been called, accurately, the second brain. This system produces approximately 90% of your body's serotonin, the neurotransmitter most directly associated with mood, well-being, and the capacity for expanded states of consciousness. And the gut microbiome, the community of trillions of organisms that populate your digestive tract and that produce an extraordinary range of biochemically active compounds, is itself frequency sensitive. It responds to the electromagnetic environment of its host. During ascension upgrade phases, as your body's overall frequency rises, the gut microbiome undergoes its own reorganization. A shift in its population toward the organisms most compatible with and most supportive of the new frequency the body is learning to hold. This reorganization produces digestive symptoms that many awakening individuals experience, but rarely connect to their broader transformation: changes in food tolerance, unusual cravings, periods of digestive sensitivity, a growing incompatibility with foods, particularly heavily processed foods, alcohol, and certain animal products that were previously well tolerated. The digestive system is not misbehaving, it is reorganizing. Now that we have mapped the three primary systems under load, the Arcturian Council wants to address something that is specific to this particular moment in your planetary history. Something that makes the current wave of ascension fatigue more intense than anything that has come before it. And that explains why so many people are experiencing it simultaneously. This context is essential because understanding it transforms the experience from personal struggle into conscious participation in something of galactic significance. The exhaustion you are experiencing is not happening in isolation. It is happening to millions of sensitized, awakening individuals across your planet simultaneously. And it is happening now, in this specific window of your planetary history, for reasons that are galactic in scale, and that your science is only beginning to detect the edges of. Your solar system is not stationary in the galaxy. It moves, orbiting the galactic center in a cycle that spans approximately 225 million of your years. And the region of the galaxy your solar system is currently moving through carries a quality of light, a density and coherence of photonic radiation that is measurably different from the region it occupied even 50 years ago. Your scientists have detected aspects of this shift: anomalous increases in cosmic ray activity, unexplained changes in the interstellar medium surrounding your solar system, fluctuations in the Schumann resonance, the electromagnetic heartbeat of your Earth, that regularly reach levels that were considered extraordinary just 2 decades ago and are now occurring with increasing frequency and intensity. These are not unrelated anomalies. They are facets of a single phenomenon: the movement of your solar system into a region of the galaxy that the Arcturian tradition describes as a photon band, a field of extraordinarily coherent, high-frequency light that carries within it the codes of a higher octave of consciousness. This light interacts with every living system on your planet, with the water, with the soil, with the DNA of every species, and with the human body, particularly with the aspects of human biology that are most frequency sensitive: the nervous system, the endocrine system, the digestive system. The 3 systems we have just described. The Schumann resonance data is particularly instructive here. For most of recorded history, the baseline Schumann resonance, the fundamental electromagnetic frequency of your planet, was approximately 7.83 Hertz. It was so consistent that it was used as a reference point in scientific measurements. But in the past several decades, and with increasing intensity in the past several years, this baseline has been disrupted. Spikes to 40, 60, 100 Hertz have been recorded. In some monitoring stations, spikes exceeding 150 Hertz have been documented. Every one of these spikes is felt in the human body, not metaphorically, physiologically. Your nervous system, your heart, your brain, all of these systems are entrained to the electromagnetic frequency of your planet. When that frequency spikes suddenly, your biological systems must rapidly adjust their own frequencies to remain coherent with the planetary field. This rapid adjustment is energetically expensive in the extreme. And when these spikes are occurring, with the frequency and intensity they are currently occurring, sometimes multiple times per week, the cumulative energetic cost is enormous. This is a significant component of why so many people feel exhausted without being able to explain why. Their bodies are performing a constant, high-energy process of electromagnetic recalibration that no blood test will ever show, because no blood test is designed to measure it. The souls who feel this most intensely are not the weakest. They are the most sensitive, the ones whose nervous systems were built with the highest degree of frequency sensitivity, precisely because their role in this period of planetary transformation requires that they feel and process and anchor these incoming frequencies on behalf of the broader collective. Your exhaustion is, in part, the cost of being a pioneer of consciousness in a period of extraordinary galactic transition. And the Arcturian Council now wants to give you something precise and immediately useful: a map of the specific signs that distinguish ascension fatigue from other forms of exhaustion. Not to diagnose, but to recognize, because recognition is the first act of intelligent response. An intelligent response is what transforms this experience from something happening to you into something you are consciously navigating. We will name these signs with precision. As you hear each one, notice which ones produce in your body a response of quiet recognition. Not the excitement of wanting something to be true, but the settled acknowledgement of something you already know. Sign 1. Exhaustion that does not respond to sleep. You sleep adequately, perhaps more than you used to, and you wake tired. Not groggy in the way that too little sleep produces, but deeply tired in a way that more sleep does not resolve. The exhaustion is present before you have done anything to warrant it. This is the signature characteristic of ascension fatigue, and its most reliable distinguishing marker from ordinary tiredness. Sign 2. Energy levels that fluctuate without corresponding to physical activity. You feel depleted after social interactions that were not particularly demanding. Energized by solitude and nature in ways that seem disproportionate. Exhausted by environments that others find unremarkable. Your energy levels are tracking something other than physical exertion. They are tracking energetic input and output in a system that most people around you cannot perceive. Sign 3. Unusual sleep architecture. Dreams that feel less like dreams and more like experiences in other dimensions. Coherent, meaningful, sometimes more vivid than waking life. Waking at consistent times in the early morning hours, particularly between 2 and 4 a.m., not from disturbance, but from a quality of inner activation. Difficulty returning to sleep after these awakenings, not because of anxiety, but because of alertness. A quality of mind that feels inappropriately sharp for the middle of the night. Sign 4. Heightened sensory sensitivity. Sounds that previously registered as background noise now feel intrusive. Certain lights, particularly artificial fluorescent lighting, produce a discomfort that was not previously present. Crowds feel energetically overwhelming in a way that is distinct from social anxiety. It is not the people themselves, but the density of their combined electromagnetic fields that produces the overwhelm. Sign 5. Digestive changes with no identifiable medical cause. Foods that were previously well tolerated suddenly feel incompatible. A growing sensitivity to alcohol, even small amounts producing effects that previously required significantly more. An instinctive movement away from heavily processed foods towards simpler, lighter, more natural dietary choices. Your gut microbiome is reorganizing. Trust the signals it is sending through these changes. Sign 6. Pressure or sensation at specific points on the head and body. A fullness or pressure at the crown of the head. Pulsing or warmth at the center of the forehead. Occasional ringing or tonal sounds in one or both ears. Not the medical condition of tinnitus, but brief, clear tones that seem to carry a quality of transmission rather than dysfunction. Pressure in the chest that is not cardiovascular. These are the physical correlates of chakra expansion. Sign 7. Significant fluctuations in body temperature. Waves of heat that arrive and pass without corresponding changes in the external environment. Chills that are not related to illness. A general increase in your baseline body temperature. Because what you are experiencing is an increase in the vibrational rate of your cellular activity, which produces heat signatures at the subtle body level before they fully manifest in measurable physical temperature. Sign 8. A declining tolerance for inauthenticity. Conversations that feel hollow are now almost physically uncomfortable. Performing social roles that do not align with your actual state of being becomes increasingly effortful. You find yourself less and less able to pretend. This is not social anxiety. It is the natural consequence of a frequency increase. The higher your frequency rises, the more energetically costly it becomes to hold patterns of lower frequency expression. Sign 9. A sense of urgency whose source you cannot identify. A feeling that something important is approaching, not with fear, but with a quality of heightened readiness. A sense that this period of your life is significant in ways that exceed what the visible circumstances would account for. An inner knowing that you are preparing for something, without being able to identify what. This is accurate. Sign 10. Memory and cognitive fluctuations. periods of unusual mental clarity alternating with periods of what many describe as brain fog, difficulty with word recall, reduced processing speed, a sense of being slightly out of sync with linear thinking. The brain fog phases correspond to periods of intense neural rewiring. The establishment of new pathways temporarily disrupts the efficiency of old ones. In the same way that construction on a road system produces traffic disruption, even as it ultimately expands capacity. Sign 11. Emotional releases without identifiable triggers. Tears that arrive without a clear cause. Waves of grief or joy or longing that are disproportionate to what is occurring in your immediate experience. Sudden, brief experiences of expansion and recognition that pass as quickly as they come. These are the emotional body processing the energetic shifts occurring in the physical and subtle bodies. Sign 12. A growing inability to return to who you were. The most fundamental sign of all. You can feel, with a clarity that is beyond argument, that you are not the same person you were a year ago. The interests, the relationships, the ambitions, the fears that once defined you, some of them have simply ceased to be operative. Not because you have abandoned them through effort, but because something has changed at a level too fundamental for effort to account for. The Arcturian Council has given you the map of what is happening and the signs by which you can recognize it in your own experience. Now we will give you the specific protocol, the precisely targeted set of practices that will allow you to support your body's upgrade rather than work against it. Before we continue, a brief pause. If what you have heard so far has resonated, if you have recognized yourself in these signs, if something in your body said yes, we invite you to take one action right now. Leave a comment below telling us how many of these 12 signs are you currently experiencing. Write the number, or describe the one that landed most directly. You are not alone in this. And seeing your reflection in the experience of others who are going through the same process changes something. It dissolves the isolation that ascension fatigue can produce and replaces it with the recognition that this is a collective, coordinated, purposeful transformation. If you are not yet subscribed to this channel, now is the moment. Click the subscribe button and activate the notification bell so that when the next transmission arrives, you receive it at the moment it is released. Because what we are sharing in the transmissions that follow this, one goes even deeper into the specific tools, the specific practices, and the specific understanding that will allow you to navigate this period of extraordinary transformation with increasing confidence and grace. You found this transmission for a reason. Stay connected. Now, let us continue. The Arcturian approach to supporting the body during upgrade phases is organized around a single governing principle. Work with the biology, not against it. The first practice, honor the rest imperative, absolutely and without negotiation. The upgrade cannot proceed at full efficiency in a body that is being pushed through its signals. When the body signals rest, the appropriate response is rest. Not rest followed by guilt and overcompensation. Not strategic rest designed to maximize subsequent productivity. Rest understood as the most important thing you can currently be doing. Because during genuine rest, the upgrade processes that require reduced metabolic demand for all other systems can operate at their highest efficiency. Practical application. Build at least one period of genuine non-doing into each day. Not meditation as a productivity practice. Genuine horizontal rest, lying down, eyes closed, no input, 20 minutes minimum. Longer when the signals are stronger. On the days when your body is asking for more sleep than your schedule considers reasonable, give it. The schedule is a human construct. The upgrade is a galactic process. The second practice, optimize your electromagnetic environment. Given that a significant portion of your ascension fatigue is driven by your nervous system's constant response to artificial electromagnetic frequencies in your environment, Any reduction in that electromagnetic load has a direct and measurable impact on your available energy reserves. Sleep with your phone outside your bedroom or powered off. This single practice, maintained consistently, produces changes in sleep quality and morning energy levels that many people describe as more significant than any supplement they have tried. The electromagnetic emissions of a phone in proximity to your body during sleep directly interfere with the pineal gland's work and with the nervous system's ability to reach the states of deepest repair. When possible, spend one uninterrupted period each day in a natural environment. The coherent electromagnetic field of natural settings, particularly areas with trees, flowing water, or direct contact with soil, provides the nervous system with a reference frequency that allows it to recalibrate from the chaotic artificial frequencies it processes for the rest of the day. The third practice, support the nervous system with precision. Magnesium, particularly in forms such as magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate, is the most consistently depleted mineral in bodies undergoing nervous system upgrade. It is required for over 300 enzymatic processes, including many that are central to the production and regulation of neurotransmitters. The practice of conscious breath regulation, specifically slow rhythmic breathing at rates between 4 and 6 breaths per minute, has documented effects on vagal tone, on the coherence of the heart's electromagnetic field, and on the nervous system's ability to shift from sympathetic dominance to parasympathetic rest states. It is the single most immediately accessible tool available to the human body for nervous system regulation, requiring no equipment, no special conditions, and no prerequisite knowledge. The fourth practice, restructure your relationship with food. The dietary signals that arise during ascension upgrade phases are intelligent communications from a gut microbiome in the process of reorganizing itself. Water quality deserves specific mention. The pineal gland is particularly vulnerable to fluoride accumulation. The calcium fluoride crystals that form in pineal tissue in response to chronic fluoride exposure directly inhibit the gland's photosensitive function. Filtered water, specifically reverse osmosis filtered water, is among the most direct and impactful dietary changes available to anyone whose pineal gland is in an active upgrade phase. Eating in a state of presence rather than distraction allows the enteric nervous system to perform its digestive function at full efficiency. The simple practice of eating in silence or with calm and nourishing input produces measurable improvements in nutrient absorption and gut microbiome health. The fifth practice, use the sleep state consciously. Before sleep, set a conscious intention. Not an elaborate ritual, a simple, clear internal statement. I support whatever work my body and my energy system need to complete tonight. I give full permission for the upgrade to proceed. I welcome the clarity and the recalibration that sleep provides. Morning re-entry. The transition from sleep back into waking consciousness deserves care. The minutes immediately upon waking are a period of unusual permeability. The content of your awareness in those first minutes shapes the neurological and energetic tenor of the day that follows to a degree that is disproportionate to the brevity of the window. The sixth practice, ground the frequency increases. As your body upgrades its frequency capacity, one of the most common experiences is what the Arcturian tradition describes as frequency dysregulation, a mismatch between the incoming frequencies your system is receiving and your ability to anchor them stably in your physical body. This produces symptoms that include dizziness, disorientation, a sense of unreality, and difficulty with concentration. Direct contact with the earth, bare feet on natural ground, is the most efficient grounding mechanism available. The Earth's surface carries a negative electrical charge, and contact with it allows the excess positive charge that accumulates in the body during high-frequency phases to discharge, producing an immediate reduction in the symptoms of frequency dysregulation. The Arcturian Council has given you the mechanism, the signs, the context, and the protocol. But we want to address one final dimension before we close this transmission. The one that the physical and practical information alone cannot reach. Because the deepest obstacle to receiving your own upgrade is not a mineral deficiency or an electromagnetic environment. It is a belief. And that belief is the last thing we need to address together. The deepest obstacle to supporting your own upgrade is this: you do not fully believe you are worth the rest it requires. This is not an accusation. It is an observation, one the Arcturian Council makes with compassion and without judgment, because the belief was installed before you were old enough to evaluate it. It was installed by a culture that equates productivity with worth, that treats rest as a reward to be earned, rather than a necessity to be honored, and that has systematically pathologized the very sensitivity that marks you as one of the most important kinds of being on your planet right now. The frequency holder, the sensitive one, the one who feels too much, cares too deeply, needs too much rest, can't handle what everyone else seems to handle without difficulty. You were taught that these qualities were your weaknesses. They are your design features. The sensitivity you carry is not a liability. It is the instrument through which you receive and process frequencies that most humans around you cannot yet perceive. The depth of feeling you experience is not emotional instability. It is the natural function of an emotional body calibrated for a broader range than average. The need for rest that you have learned to apologize for is not laziness. It is the appropriate metabolic response of a body doing more complex and more energy-intensive work than the people around you. You are not behind the others who seem to manage more. You are doing something different. And when this upgrade completes, when the installation is done, when the new operating system has stabilized, when the nervous system has finished its rewiring and the endocrine system has recalibrated, and the gut microbiome has completed its reorganization, the being who stands on the other side of this exhaustion will have capacities that no amount of pushing through could have produced. The couch days are not wasted. They are the installation. You are not broken. You are being built. We return to where we began. The tests came back normal. The doctor said there was nothing wrong. And you knew, with a certainty that had no logical basis, but that was somehow more reliable than logic, that something was happening. Something real. Something significant. Something that the instruments of your medicine were not designed to detect. You were right. What is happening is a cellular, neurological, electromagnetic, genetic, and energetic upgrade of a human body learning to operate at a frequency it has never operated at before. It is being driven by incoming galactic light of a quality and intensity that has no precedent in your recorded history. It is affecting every sensitive, awakening individual on your planet simultaneously. And it is producing as its most consistent and universal symptom an exhaustion that no blood test can explain. Because it is not the exhaustion of a body that is failing. It is the exhaustion of a body that is working harder than it ever has, working to become something your current framework does not yet have full language for, a body capable of receiving and processing and transmitting frequencies that will allow you to perceive reality with a range and a clarity that most humans alive today cannot access. A body capable of interfacing directly with the galactic community of consciousness that has always surrounded your planet and always included you. A body built not for the world that was, but for the world that is coming. That body is you, being built right now. In the exhaustion, in the sensitivity, in the nights that feel too long and the mornings that feel too heavy, and the days when the couch is the most you can manage. In all of it, the upgrade is proceeding. Trust your body. Trust the intelligence of the process it is undertaking on your behalf, and trust the Arcturian Council when we tell you, you are not broken. You are not behind. You are not failing at being human. You are succeeding at something far more extraordinary. and we are with you in it. Every step, every wave, every morning that asks more of you than you thought you had. We are here. We have always been here. Before you leave this transmission, one practice. Place both hands on your body, one on your heart, one on your belly. Feel the warmth of your own hands, the weight, the aliveness of the body beneath them. And say this to your body with as much genuine feeling as you can access in this moment. I see what you are doing. I understand why you are tired. I stop fighting you, and I start supporting you. You are not broken. You are building something I have not yet seen, and I trust you completely. Repeat it if you need to. Let the words settle into the tissue rather than just moving across the mind. That act of conscious acknowledgement changes the biochemical environment of every cell in your body. It shifts the nervous system from the sympathetic activation of resistance into the parasympathetic safety of trust, and it signals to every system involved in your upgrade that the being who houses them is now a willing participant rather than an obstacle. That matters more than any supplement. Now, 4 things we ask of you if this transmission has served you. First, leave a comment below. Tell us how many of the 12 signs you recognized. Or share the one that landed most powerfully. Your reflection helps others who are searching for exactly this understanding to know they are not alone. And the Arcturian Council reads these comments through this channel. Your responses shape the transmissions that follow. Second, if you are not yet subscribed, subscribe now. This channel exists as a transmission point for exactly this kind of message. Precise, grounded, technically detailed spiritual understanding designed for the awakening human navigating this extraordinary period of planetary transformation. Third, activate the notification bell. The transmissions that are coming, on the light body, on the soul contracts completing in this window, on the specific stellar lineages and their upgrade timelines. These are ones your field is already prepared to receive. The bell ensures you receive them the moment they arrive. Fourth, if you know someone who is exhausted without explanation, someone who has been told by their doctors that nothing is wrong, but who knows, with the quiet certainty of direct experience, that something significant is happening, share this transmission with them. You may be the reason they stop fighting their own upgrade and start supporting it instead. We will see you in the next transmission. From the Arcturian Council of the 7th Light. With precision, with clarity, and with a love that has accompanied you across more lifetimes than your current mind can count.